Darren here, bestautodetailingtips.com, detailing made simple. Welcome to my home office, my home garage, as in I run my business out of my garage. You can see all my stuff. Won't be the first video that you see this background. Anyhow, I had someone write in. Now, if you are a subscriber to my YouTube channel, there's not a ton of comments, but you've got to realize, just to apply some context to the situation, that I have two other websites. Each website has tips for do-it-yourselfers, such as yourself. So, one of my websites, bestautodetailingtips.com, someone wrote in, they asked about how do you clean a steering wheel. I knew I had already done a video for it, so I'm redoing this introduction to put in front of that video because he asked some specific questions that I did not address in the video. So with that said, I want to make a couple points. One of the points is because he talked about how do you keep a steering wheel smooth. So let me try to think as to all the many variables with steering wheels, because any part of the detailing equation is made up of so many variables. Nothing is created equal. Steering wheels are no exception. So they are made of many materials. Based on when you decide to engage, or meaning clean your steering wheel, is a big factor also. You may have just recently purchased a used car. The previous owner or the original owner may have done nothing to the steering wheel. Your steering wheel may be filthy. Steering wheels, if you think about it, get the most use along with your seat and the floor mats. You're constantly holding the steering wheel. It's also exposed to the sun. Generally, when you pull into a spot, the steering wheel or your wheels will be straight, which means that if there's sunlight exposed to the through the windshield of your car, the same position of your steering wheel is always going to absorb the most amount of UV radiation lighting from the sun, which means that on an older car, the top of the steering wheel will be exposed to the sun more than the rest of the steering wheel. Sun damage will eventually become permanent, regardless of the material it is made out of. Leather, suede, plastic, Alcantara, which is a synthetic suede-like material on a high-end car, on a high-end luxury car. Typically, they use Alcantara in the sports cars. It's a suede-like material. Regardless of the material, the cleaning techniques can be the same, which the rest of this video will describe in detail how I go about doing it. It's more than just taking some cleaner and wiping it clean, because you tend to get splatter. So I show you how to protect it, the rest of your dash from that, because it's round and similar to your wheels, which I'm looking at one of my wheels on my Denali that's sitting in the garage. Wheels are difficult because they're round. So when you look at them, you're only looking at partial surface. So as you turn a steering wheel, you may, as you're driving it, you may suddenly be exposed to the fact that you missed a section of the steering wheel. So it's very important to rotate the steering wheel. So I go into detail about all this stuff. So regardless of the material, it will fade, it will oxidize if you allow it to just be exposed in the same position to sun. There's nothing you can really treat the steering wheel to prevent that. All the dressing in the world, I'm not a big fan of dressings per se. They do serve a limited purpose and use, but I certainly don't recommend dressing a steering wheel because it can become slick. Also, if it's a suede material, you certainly wouldn't want to use dressing on that. Anyhow, so once a certain amount of damage has been done, there's no unringing that bell. You can't repair a damaged steering wheel if it's gone that far. But part of the question is can you keep it in new-like condition? Just like anything else on your car, the answer is absolutely, if you have the ability to maintain it from the start, or if you have the ability to engage in cleaning it and maintaining it, so long as not too much damage has been done or too much wear and tear has been done, like for example if you bought a used car. So once again, I try to keep the video short, but every time I do that, it's like this domino effect where you just realize that there's more and more information. And that's always my goal, is to give you guys enough information that you can actually walk away from your monitor or your little handheld device, whatever you choose to watch these videos on, and actually put it into practice. Actually walk away with something useful that you can now have enough knowledge to do, and more knowledge that's just going to make you educated enough to be dangerous. I call it the Reader's Digest syndrome, where if you actually read Reader's Digest, which anyone under the age of 30 probably doesn't even know what that is. I happen to be over 30, so I grew up with that book that my mother loved to read. But the point is it was just enough information to make people dangerous. So my goal is to give you enough information so that you're actually informed and educated, and you can actually achieve the desired results in a safe, productive, efficient, and effective way. So that's always my goal. But in doing that, you as the viewer have to maintain enough focus to endure these videos that I produce. I know some of them are long, 30 minutes plus, but that's what's required to fully educate you. So once again, I think I've covered all the variables with steering wheel between this new introduction and the subsequent video that I'm going to basically edit together. So hopefully this has answered your questions. And please subscribe to my channel. More importantly, give me some feedback, even if it's just a positive, like, yeah, Darren, good video, whatever, so that I can deliver what you guys want and what you guys need. If you have some questions that I did not cover, I can respond in different ways, and it will help me produce videos in the future, because I've been in the business so long that I tend to forget what it's like to be a true noob, whatever you want to call it. I forget what it's like to be in that position. And so I tend to look at a much broader perspective and forget to answer some of the basics at times. Anyhow, we'll see you on the next side. Hey, all right, it's Darren Priest here with BestAutoDetailingTips.com, where detailing is made simple. Today, we're going to be cleaning a steering wheel. Believe it or not, there's more to cleaning a steering wheel than what you might think. The reason is very similar to the wheels on the car, is that they move. So the problem is as you're sitting in the seat cleaning and detailing a steering wheel, you look around, you're cleaning, and you think it's clean, but then suddenly you get out here and you realize that in fact it's not clean. Now, as someone's driving, they're holding this wheel and on every position. So what happens is generally people drive most of the time straight. So people will have natural resting points, and this is going to be a case-by-case situation for the driver itself. So as a detailer, you'll look at your steering wheel and you'll see that there will be a buildup of dirt in certain areas where people hold on to that steering wheel more often than not. Now, this particular car happens to be my wife's car. It is a 07 Mercedes C-Class. She wears makeup, as do a lot of women. They love their lotions, they love their makeup, and if they don't remember to wash their hands, what happens is you get a nice buildup on the steering wheel. So, to do it right, as in the professional world, there's a few tricks that I wanted to show you and highlight. So I got my tools. I actually have 3 different rags here. As a rule, I always use microfibers. They are a superior cloth. But for demonstration purposes, I got this brand new virgin, never been used before, white terry cloth towel. Now the reason I don't use terry cloth as a rule is because of lint. You clean with it and it leaves lint everywhere, unlike the microfibers. But what I wanted to show you is how much dirt, because probably from that view this steering wheel doesn't look overly dirty, but the reality is that it's very dirty. If you look up in here along the controls, there's some controls here, volume, telephone, so forth. Anyhow, every car, every manufacturer has what I call the problem areas of a car. Now in Mercedes, just like BMWs, they use this material. It's got a hard plastic underneath, but then it's coated with like a rubberized material. The problem is over time this will start to peel off. This is what is already beginning to happen here. There's virtually no way around it other than to never touch it. It's one of those materials that manufacturers use that look cool, they feel cool, but they just don't wear and stand up to regular use very well. So when it comes to cleaning them, you have to be aware of this. So if this were a customer's car or your car, the reality is as you clean and it's allowed to get this dirty, this material will start to peel off the top layer of it. Now in this situation, it's only contained within this area of the steering wheel, but this same material can be found in various places throughout the cars of Mercedes and BMWs, some of the Porsches. Those are the notorious offenders for this particular material. Anyhow, so first things first, I got my gloves on. As a rule, I always wear gloves. If you've watched some of my other videos, you may have noticed that I have not worn my gloves because I too forget. The reason I wear gloves is so I don't catch my fingernails on any materials and create a permanent mark or any permanent damage. So I wear gloves as a cautionary measure. I've got my all-purpose cleaner here. It is one of my favorites. It's put out by Meguiar's. If you go to my website, I show you exactly what I use. And it comes in a concentrate, which is ideal because you can dilute it down to specific needs based on the material you're cleaning and the amount of dirt you're trying to clean. So as a rule, this is one of my favorite products. It's an all-purpose cleaner. So I also have my non-abrasive synthetic pad that I will be using to clean around the steering wheel. This is a cylindrical shaped wheel, as most are. Point is I need something that I can wrap around as I clean this shape. I even have my toothbrush so I can really get in. This actually is a leather wrapped steering wheel, despite what a lot of people think. Just because it's a Mercedes doesn't mean that leather is everywhere. These seats are actually synthetic leather, which is just a glorified way of saying they're made out of vinyl. Mercedes actually calls it MB Tex. MB probably standing for Mercedes-Benz, Tex probably standing for texture, who knows, but it sounds better than synthetic leather. Anyhow, but this steering wheel actually has leather on it. Point is most of the cleaners that can be used on the vinyl can also be used on leather. So in this case, what I will do, there's some cautionary things that it would be appropriate to put in place. One of them is I cover the instrument cluster because there is a plastic housing. Now some chemicals can leave a permanent mark on that plastic housing or plastic cover. I don't want to do that. So therefore I cover it. Also, as you're cleaning a steering wheel and you get some liquid cleaner on this, it tends to sling it around. So most of the time I'm going to start with this first because it's going to sling my cleaner, which after I clean it will now be dirty cleaner, and it will leave dirt throughout the cabin depending upon how sloppy I get. I try to contain my mess, but sometimes it still gets away from me. So point is as a cautionary measure, I cover this always. Anyhow, I start with my pad, just spray a little cleaner, and I spray it right on the pad itself, because once again, if I were to spray this and it shoots like that, most of the cleaner is not going to end up on the steering wheel. It's going to end up everywhere that I don't want it to end up. So I start with this and simply start scrubbing. And because of the unique ability of this pad to go around the circumference of this wheel, I can be very thorough. So anyhow, here's my white cloth, and there's the first go around. Quite a substantial amount of dirt, I would say. And like I said, in just a casual observation, you would think that the steering wheel is not that dirty, but as you look closer, you'll see that there's definitely a buildup of lotions and makeup around these 3 points of the steering wheel. So that's why I use the white cloth, so I can really highlight that. So I'm going to get in here and make sure I get the back, because when someone holds onto a steering wheel, they don't just hold onto it like this. They wrap their hands around it. So that means the back side of the steering wheel and underneath here, over there, it's all going to get dirty. So the point is thoroughness. Detailing is just that. It's all about the detailing. Now if I want to employ my toothbrush, I can shoot some cleaner on that. I actually can hold the cloth behind it and get under here and go like that. Now because this is actually leather, there is a texture or a grain to it, and in order to get that, I will have to use a toothbrush. The tiny little bristles will be able to get into all the little grooves, and it's going to require more than one cleaning. I may have to go over the steering wheel a couple times to actually get it clean. So I can shoot some cleaner there. I still am holding a cloth behind it as I scrub it, because like I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to contain the sling of the dirty cleaner as I clean the steering wheel. And I make sure I get behind the steering wheel, mop it up like so. Once again, more dirt. This steering wheel is dirty. Going to shoot some more here, and I'm going to go lightly over the controls. I don't want to saturate the controls so much so that liquid actually is able to start pouring back into there, but I need enough cleaner to do the trick. Once again, more dirt. And as you can see, the rubber is scuffed up. There's nothing you can do about that. Now, let's say I've cleaned this whole steering wheel. What you need to do is actually turn the car on, like so, and turn the wheel. Because if I get out of this car, and let's say the steering wheel's turned like this, suddenly I realize that I have in fact missed some spots. So it's like when you're cleaning the wheels on the car, it's virtually impossible to get them 100% clean the first time. So every car I do, I clean the wheel and I rotate it 180 degrees, which is a half revolution around, and I double check my work, and you're always going to find some additional dirt. Same with the steering wheel. So you need to rotate it and really check all the areas, the top of here, the top of there, which is now the top, which before was the side. Anyhow, the point is when it comes to steering wheel, there's a lot of detail work to it, and so you really need to, between this and your toothbrush, get in there and get it 100%. So other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So go to my website if you want to see the cleaner that I recommend, one of my favorites, all-purpose cleaner. So until next time, we'll see you on the other side.